It is beautiful, and it is forever linked to humankind's worst deeds.
The greatest revelation of the Nazi gold thing, that the Swiss facilitated this laundering of gold.
Gold has always kept company with murder and intrigue.
There are billions of dollars of gold littering the seafloor.
And it has gone from treasure to trouble on the trading floor.
Something has to be done here.
Is gold the next subprime mortgage scandal?
It is illegal. It's absolutely illegal.
I'm Anne-Marie McDonald. Doc Zone delves into the secret world of gold. Billions of years ago, the Earth passed through an exploding star and was showered in molten gold. The Incas called gold the sweat of the sun and told their stories with it. The Egyptians saw it as the breath of God and buried their pharaohs in it.
I kind of think that gold has an allure that is rooted somehow in our collective unconscious.
In India, the Golden Temple of Amritsar is a sacred destination, a reminder of how most of the great religions celebrate gold. In all of the world, no other word still evokes such wealth and power.
If you ever look at gold, it's an extremely beautiful, I mean, I'd rather have a gold coin than a mass of paper dollars. The gold coin is going to survive forever, and the paper dollars are going to be destroyed.
The Romans called gold the muscles of war. With it, a triumphant Napoleon gilded Paris. To finance the Third Reich, the Nazis were determined to capture the gold of Europe.
Gold was the ultimate guarantee of national survival.
Even today, gold shines in the world of high finance.
Gold is the largest commodity market on the planet Earth. They make billions of dollars in a single day by manipulating the market.
But today, most of the gold and silver traded is on paper, in the form of funds and futures, where some believe there is only 1 ounce of real gold for every 100 ounces traded.
The term Ponzi scheme comes up. The customer or client thinks he or she has something, but doesn't.
And now some are asking national governments, where is the gold from places like Fort Knox?
I think you have to assume that all the gold's not there.
There's not a lot of it. Even melted down, all the gold ever found is only enough to fill 3 Olympic swimming pools. Yet gold's magic continues to keep us in its spell. When Moses descended Mount Sinai to deliver the 10 Commandments, he flew into a rage finding his followers worshiping gold, a golden calf. Today, Western central bankers get almost as frustrated at those who stubbornly value gold over paper money. While India, China, and Russia buy gold by the ton, the big Western nations would prefer gold remained in a museum. Here on Wall Street, at the American Museum of Finance, the precious metal is commemorated by a solid gold Monopoly set. But museum director Richard Silla is not so sure that gold's day is done.
The golden rule is really those who have the gold rule.
In the world's great financial centers, New York and London, billions of dollars of every kind of metal are traded in the blink of an eye. Gold and silver are traded in code, where the flick of a wrist can spell hundreds of millions of dollars in profit or a disastrous loss. Andrew Maguire has moved in that world as a precious metal trader for decades.
I've specialized in gold and silver trading for the last 30. In fact, I view gold and silver as my children. I know everything about the gold and silver market. I know why they move, and I know who's behind it.
The drama revolves around bullion banks, giant international banks licensed to deal in gold and silver. Maguire says that week after week, some gold and silver traders bragged about how they used insider trading to manipulate the price of silver and gold. But it was a bottle of bubbly that drove Maguire to become a whistleblower.
When I see somebody celebrating with a £1,000 bottle of champagne because they're high-fiving each other because they took the price of silver down, on the other side of that are real people with real lives. What set me off was the realization that when you manipulate a commodity, such as silver or gold or corn or oil or whatever it might be, it has a real-world impact.
Many pointed to a drop in the price of silver in 2008 from $21 an ounce to less than $9 as an example of market manipulations.
Entire communities lost their jobs, and in some instances, there was suicides. And that really, really got to me, and I thought, you know, something has to be done here.
Gold mines are just as vulnerable to market manipulation. Extraction of the precious metal from the ground has changed little in thousands of years. To produce 1 ounce of fine gold requires 38 man-hours, 1,400 gallons of water, and liters of cyanide. In South Africa, 400,000 men, 90% of them black, toil in mines deeper than 2 kilometers in temperatures greater than 130 degrees. The history of gold is stained with the blood of those who toil for it. Its dark power has been used for centuries to finance war and mass murder. Historian Duncan McDowell.
Countries with gold were countries that wouldn't be pushed around, that could fight wars, that could build up their economies. So this notion of gold as being the kind of foundation plate of national sovereignty was fundamental to the way the Western world saw itself.
Gold was a driving force in the Second World War. In late 1938, Austria welcomed Adolf Hitler as a conquering hero in the land of his birth. But the image of a powerful Führer cloaked a surprise weakness. Behind the scenes, the head of the German central bank has a bleak message for his leader. Hjalmar Schacht warns Hitler that Germany is bankrupt. Its gold is spent. Hitler fires him. But Hitler will soon go to war not only for territory, but for gold. In 1939, Hitler captures Austria and Czechoslovakia without firing a shot. A special Nazi unit seizes their gold. Next, the Germans invade Poland. Poland fights back. The Polish army and resistance are ordered to hold out long enough to get Poland's gold out of the country. 75 tons of gold, worth more than $2 billion today, are launched on a perilous journey through Romania, Turkey, and Lebanon, south and east, before arriving in France. But the gold would not be safe for long. In June 1940, Germany invades Luxembourg, Holland, Belgium, and France. The 14th of June, 1940, the Germans occupy Paris, which surrenders without a fight. The Nazi gold squad arrives here at the Bank of France, demanding the gold of France, all $3 billion worth. Bank of France historian Didier Brunel says they were met with a big surprise.
They demanded to go into the vault and saw that it was empty. Of course, they were furious.
French central bankers had planned for this moment for years. Ever since Hitler came to power, the French began hiding the gold in 51 separate caches around the country, always less than a day's drive from an escape port. Now, France prepares to get the gold out of the country. In a secret operation from cities large and small, the gold is moved at night, dispatched to ports along its coast. The German army is not far behind. Historian Tristan Gaston-Breton says everyone was trying to disguise a growing panic.
There was panic, and we had to use whatever was available. Warships, merchant ships, trawlers, fishing boats, anything we could find to evacuate as much gold as possible. It was a masterpiece of successful improvisation.
Today, these Atlantic harbors are home to sailboats, cruise ships, and ferries. In those desperate summer days of 1940, vital parts of the French Navy, including battleships and aircraft carriers, are mobilized to save the gold. Westward goes the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of the world. 83 million golden ounces, more than the cargoes of all the ancient Spanish treasure ships combined. The gold of France and Poland, bound for safe haven in Canada and the United States. It's still unknown how many ships carrying gold and silver bullion were lost to German submarines during the two world wars. Those sunken bullion ships, and many from bygone wars, prove irresistible to companies like Odyssey Marine. No story about gold is complete without a treasure hunt. It's all very modern. Odyssey is listed on the NASDAQ stock exchange. The company operates out of a secret location in Tampa, Florida. President Mark Gordon says there is no shortage of wrecks.
The United Nations estimates there's 3 million shipwrecks on the ocean floor. The only way to transport wealth until the mid-20th century was on ships. So there are billions of dollars of gold and silver littering the sea floor.
Tom Detweiler was part of the deep ocean team that found the Titanic. Now he brings his skill to search for gold 3 miles deep.
The sinking of one of these ships could cause large companies literally to go out of business, countries to take a different course in their history, and literally change the world.
In 2007, Odyssey was mapping the ocean floor off the coast of Portugal when they got lucky. It was a giant spill of gold and silver coins resting on the ocean floor. Odyssey could not identify a shipwreck in the area, which deepened the mystery. But immediately they knew they had something big.
What we found really wasn't a shipwreck anymore. It was just the remnants of the cargo that had been aboard that ship. Lots of coins, because we found about 600,000 of them, and we know there's still many more down there.
We suddenly realized this was a very large vessel that had something very catastrophic happen to it.
They transported the find to Florida. The trove was estimated at $500 million. Odyssey registered their find in a U.S. court to await any competing claims. Enter the Spanish government. Spain argued that the treasure was from a Spanish vessel named Nuestra Señora de las Mercedes. It turns out England resumed a war with Spain by sinking the ship in 1804. Now Spain was launching a full-scale diplomatic campaign to get back gold it had plundered 200 years earlier. Peru also filed a claim, saying the treasure was stolen from the Incan people. It is estimated that upwards of 1 million Incans were killed in unequal battle against the Spanish military or worked to death in the gold mines of Peru. Their claim was dismissed. The court ruled Peru was only a Spanish colony at the time and had no claim on the treasure. Even the U.S. government got secretly involved. A WikiLeaks document reveals that to help a wealthy political donor recover a painting lost in Spain during the Second World War, the U.S. government made an offer.
If Spain would be kind enough to give this painting back to this family in the United States, that our State Department would help Spain recover the coins that Odyssey had recovered.
After spending $2.4 million recovering the silver and gold and another $2 million on legal fees, Odyssey was ordered by the court to hand the treasure over to Spain. Spinning a web of gold and intrigue, once again, gold's spell proved enduring. Gold taken by Spain 2 centuries earlier was returned to the plunderer. Coming up next, Odyssey goes on the hunt again, this time for an English treasure ship sent to the bottom by a German U-boat. A treasure hunt with Wall Street rules.
A shipwreck has to be worth at least $50 million for us to go ahead and invest in the project.